I'm Lauren Green, and you're in the Strategy Room. With less than 2 weeks to go before Iowa voters head to the polls, the race for the Democratic presidential nomination is narrowing. A new CNN ORC poll released Thursday shows Bernie Sanders edging ahead of Hillary Clinton with 51% support in Iowa to Clinton's 43%. Could Clinton lose in Iowa? Joining me today to weigh in are political strategists Basil Smikle Jr. and Cathy Lynn Taylor. Welcome to you both.
Good to be here.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Basil, Hillary Clinton was once the presumptive heir of the Democratic nomination. What's happening with her, and is she really going to lose this, and is she prepared to?
Well, I think no matter what was discussed about her early on in terms of her inevitability, and that was much talked about, the polls were always going to tighten. I think what you're seeing is people really sort of settling into where they are and what they believe. I think New Hampshire voters won't really make up their mind until maybe 3 days before, so there may be some movement still to be seen. But I hope and I imagine that the Hillary campaign did expect this at some point. New Hampshire is one thing because it's, you know, neighboring state of Vermont, so I imagine that Bernie Sanders would always do, he was going to do well there. I think what's happening in Iowa is very interesting. It was the state that Barack Obama won and changed the conversation, changed the narrative about him. I don't know if Bernie has that in him, if the campaign has that in him, but it will change the conversation no matter who wins that state.
Yeah, there's a little deja vu there for Hillary Clinton. 2008, boy, you know, Barack Obama took it away from her. And you get the feeling, Cathy, that this was the one she had to win because it was more of an emotional issue rather than even just a strict political issue.
Right. I mean, her camp definitely has to feel like they're in the middle of a Groundhog Day movie remake for sure, right? But look, Iowa's important, and it's more important for the Democrats than the Republicans because it's a state that generally votes Democratic in the general election. But it's not the end-all, be-all, and those who win Iowa are not necessarily the nominee. What's bigger, more relevant, I think, here is that there are really 11 key states at the end of the day that are going to probably decide this election. The Sun Belt and the Rust Belt. And there, Hillary still has a big advantage over Bernie in that the non-white vote and the aging population vote, let's say over 50, even though that's still quite young, are really the deciding factors. And those are what you need to win those states. So she still does better than Bernie in that respect. And so I think Iowa's important in that it sets a tone. I don't think it's the end-all, be-all for her to win in order to still be the nominee. But let's face it, she has a lot of issues right now, a lot of credibility issues, a lot of favorability or unfavorability issues, and it's still a very big uphill battle for her no matter what.
And Basil, you know, Cathy brings up a good point because is the Sanders camp just doing that well, or is Hillary Clinton kind of shooting herself in the foot with all of the sort of the political issues and the legal issues?
I don't know. I take Bernie Sanders at his word and saying that the American public is tired of hearing about emails, and I think we've heard as much as we're probably going to hear about any fallout from the email scandal. But I do think, going back to sort of the states that matter, one thing that I think is really key here is that you see Hillary Clinton really embracing President Obama over the last few days and weeks of the campaign, because in part because South Carolina is her firewall. So no matter what happens in Iowa and New Hampshire, there can be a reset in South Carolina. 50% of that electorate is African American. So the
and she has an edge there with minority voters.
And she has an edge there. And I think one of the things that may have hurt her, but also the Democrats broadly, going back even to 2014, is that we weren't embracing the president's message and successes enough. And I think that cost us perhaps the midterm elections, or as much of a slide in midterm elections in 2014. But I'm glad to see that at least Hillary is doing that now, and hopefully that will help her going forward. I think.
And Cathy, some quick advice for the candidates, and particularly is, you know, channeling Barack Obama a good idea for Clinton?
Right. You know, I'm glad you asked me that because I'm not usually in the habit of giving Democrats advice. But let me give Hillary Clinton some advice if she would like some non-solicited advice from me, which is she needs to be true to who she is. She can't support Obama just to support the president. She can't go left because Bernie's going left. She needs to be who she is. She's lost great sight of herself, and it's clear on the campaign trail. She does not exude any sort of inspiration, any sort of confidence anymore. It's a very different Hillary than her supporters saw the last time around. And so if she wants to win, if anybody wants to win, this is a big job interview, basically. And if she wants to win, the Democratic nomination, then she needs to exude some confidence in who she is. And I don't think voters know what she stands for. It goes back to what I said earlier. This is in an election about what you stand for. The dissatisfaction and anger in the country isn't a partisan issue. That 70% of Americans who are unhappy come from both sides of the aisle. And unless you have a vision and you're clear about how you're going to do it, I don't think you stand a chance this time around.
All right, and Basil, your advice then now?
Well, I actually...
Either candidate.
No, well, you know, I think Bernie is doing exactly what he should be doing. What I would say to the Hillary folks is you don't need to attack him. Just be who you are, as you said, be who you are, be as conversant in the issues as you have been. That has come out substantially in the debates, and I think just pushing through on that. People respect her and admire her as this really intelligent policy wonk, if you will. You know,
that might be changing a little bit.
No. It's actually worked well for her, particularly when she was in the Senate. So I think just focused on that. People want the solutions to their problems. So talk about it.
I want to thank you so much, Basil, and Cathy Lynn.
Thank you.
And for more on the 2016 presidential race, go to foxnews.com. I'm Lauren Green, and thanks for watching.